What's up everybody, and welcome to Ride Review. My name's Tyson. Today I'm showing you the ECOM 14, a scooter from Hiboy. Now this is a commuting utility scooter here. Love the basket on the back here. Let just carry some cargo. This basket actually folds too, along with the rest of the scooter. Kind of nice for, you know, storage, or if you got to pack it into your car. Value packed scooter here too. So this is now priced at $570. Pretty good deal here for what you get. It is a little bit rough around the edges. We'll kind of dive into some of that when we go through the components on the scooter here. But for $570, you're really getting quite a bit, and that's kind of the name of the game for the Hiboy brand. This is actually the most expensive scooter on their website, at least the last that I checked. So they're really targeting kind of the more affordable value section of the market, but seeming to make some fairly durable, reliable stuff here. They've got a lot of dealers too. So if you live in the United States, they have over 200 dealers, so you can actually get in and test ride one of these, maybe have a place to take it into if you need some maintenance or repairs done on it. So jumping into the ECOM 14, now like many other scooters, you can use this in both a seated or a standing mode, but this one is really geared more towards the seated mode. It comes with the seat already installed on it. You can remove it if you want to, but you're going to need some tools, have to take these out and remount the rack after you do that. Kind of an involved operation, not just a quick swap if you're feeling like standing instead of sitting, but sitting's really the way to go here. It's a lot more comfortable. I'm surprised by how much I like riding it in seated mode. It feels comfy. I feel like I could do that for a long distance, whereas on a standing scooter, your feet start to fall asleep and can be a little bit uncomfortable. And this is a pretty adjustable scooter too, so even my big 6'3" frame can fit on here. You can adjust the seat up and down. I've got that all the way up to the highest setting, obviously, and then the stem is telescoping too, so you can raise those handlebars up quite a bit. So even if you're on the taller end of the spectrum, it's going to fit you pretty well. And it's a pretty good design overall from the scooter. There's a couple points to nitpick on here. For one thing, the headlight is mounted low down here on the front of the frame, which is just not a good position for it. When it's down low like that, it's hard for vehicle drivers to see it. Someone in their car probably isn't going to see something down that low to the ground. You don't get as good a lighting either. So I'd rather see that up here high on the stem. And it also doesn't turn with the steering column. So when you turn the handlebars here, headlight stays pointed forward, so that can make the illumination not ideal, if you're on a winding path at night. But it's a nitpick. You've got the lights at least. There's a rear light as well back here. Little tail light. It is pretty small, but it helps out, and it does have flashing brake activation, so a little bit of extra safety there. Let's see, what else? My other, I guess, nitpick with the design is there's an awful lot of extra cabling up here. Now, this can be a difficult thing when you have a telescoping stem. You need to have a lot of cabling so that it'll work when it's at the at the highest mode where I've got it here. You don't want to be stretching these cables too tight when you turn the steering column. But as you can see, they're not, turning it doesn't really mess with the cables at all. And then if I lower the stem down all the way here, and then you can see there's so much cabling happening here, and I've got to run through this thing to kind of try to manage it. But at the lowest setting on here, that just looks messy. It doesn't really affect the operation at all. This is more of a a visual appearance kind of a thing. But just something I thought worth pointing out. I do like that they have it all nice and wrapped and managed fairly well. Now, the listed weight limit for this scooter is 220 pounds, which isn't super high, as scooters go. That's okay. I'm surprised it's not listed as higher, because it's really honestly a pretty rugged setup here. It's a nice thick frame. The wheels down here are using cast alloy rims instead of spokes. That makes them a lot stronger, and so I feel like this could carry quite a bit of weight. And I did test this out carrying two people on here, rode on here with myself and my partner and some groceries, because we ran to the store. So we were carrying almost 360 pounds of total weight, and the scooter did fine. That's not condoned from Hiboy, so don't get too carried away here, but it does seem to be a pretty rugged design. Kind of has a, I don't know, almost a rough around the edges feel to it. For riding in city at top speed of 20 miles per hour, it actually does feel pretty good here. You get a decent seat that's got a good amount of padding on it. No suspension, like I said, but you do have these bigger wheels. So these are 14-inch diameter wheels. What that means is that they can roll over bumps in the road a lot better than your typical scooter, which usually has like, 10-inch wheels on it. So with that nice attack angle, it actually does feel pretty comfortable. And, you might want to still stand up on the deck when you're going over, a big bump or a pothole or something, just to get a little bit of shock absorption from your legs. Now, I love the utility aspect of this scooter. That's why I requested that Hiboy send me this model specifically, because not only do you have, a nice sturdy rear rack back here, but you even have the basket on top of that. And most scooters don't have any kind of provisions for cargo other than, maybe like the little trunk bags that sit right up here on the front of the stem. It's just, you can put your wallet and keys and a few small things in there, but they're not really useful. You can actually fit quite a bit in here, and it, I would expect that it can probably hold 40 to 50 pounds as kind of like a standard bike rack in terms of strength. So the utility aspect of this scooter is really where it shines if you want something that you can use to, run errands with, if you want to be able to throw your bag in the basket instead of having to carry it on your back. Great fit for that kind of a thing. Now, they say it can get up to 31 miles of range. We'll kind of put that to the test when we get to the ride test portion in a little bit here. Now, I mentioned it is a pretty rugged frame, so it can handle, a lot of bumps and stuff like that, but it is a pretty low clearance. I mean, look at that. You only get a few inches of clearance down here. And I'll also call out that the charge port is right on the kind of underside of the frame right here for the battery, completely sealed in battery down there too. Looks like it'd be, I'm sure you can probably go through the deck to get it out, for repairs or something. But anyways, I did want to say the charge port being down right there, just be careful not to damage that. If you go off a curb or something like that, you're definitely going to bottom out, and you could risk damaging your charge port, which is bad for obvious reasons. So, this is not a scooter designed for off-roading. Absolutely not. This is city streets, riding on asphalt, multi-use trails, maybe some very light dirt trails if they don't have a lot of big bumps or anything like that. But this, this is not an off-road adventuring scooter. It doesn't really have the power to do that either. It's actually quite zippy off the line. It really accelerates fast if you have it all the way up in level 3, which has a top speed of 22 miles per hour. But it's a, kind of a low power setup here. We've got a 400 watt motor in the back here, which is not a lot, but with these relatively small wheels, it gives a pretty good mechanical advantage. So some good torque here. It should do decent climbing hills. Battery in that bottom of the frame there is not very big either. It's about a 480 watt hour battery. So this is I guess kind of like a middle of the road as far as scooters go, but compared to some of the higher end scooters that have over 1,000 watt hours in there, not a whole lot. But that helps to bring your weight down. 57 pounds for this scooter, which for a fairly big scooter that you sit on, really not too bad. And there's two different braking systems on here. Up front is the drum brake that's just inside the hub of the front wheel. And you actually have to sort of put that together when you're assembling the scooter, which I haven't done before, but ended up being pretty easy. And then in the back, you've got a much more effective disc brake, 160 millimeter rotor back here. It is mechanical, as you can see from the cable right here, which means that you've got to do some maintenance on that every now and then. You have to tighten it up because those cables do stretch over time, and you have to squeeze them a bit harder to activate. So not as high performing as hydraulic, but really cost saving. That's how they're able to get the price on the scooter down so low. And this setup with the disc brake and the drum brake provides plenty of stopping power. I probably would have put the disc brake in the front because you get more of your stopping power from up there, but gets the job done. Let's pop on up to the cockpit here. Now, I've already got the scooter powered on. Pretty basic display over here on the right grip, but I like these displays. They're very easy to see. It even shows up on the camera here, and it has a backlight as well, so you can see it at night. If you hold down the up arrow, that will turn on the lights. You can see the little light indicator there, and then headlight, not the best headlight. I commented on the positioning and everything, but also it's a very small lighting, so it's not a very widespread. So I'll try to get a shot of this at night so you guys can see. It's just doesn't illuminate very well. It helps out, not awesome. The rear light back here, not real bright, especially in the daytime, but it does have brake activation. So when you squeeze the brake levers there, it'll flash to let someone ahead of you that you're slowing down. So it definitely helps out. You get a basic flick bell over here on the left, good for letting, you know, other pedestrians and riders know that you're nearby. But other than that, with the display, you can, you know, press the up and down to change between, you know, 0, completely off, all the way up to level 3, which will set your max speed to 22 miles per hour. Then you can press the center here to cycle through and see, you know, your odometer and trip timer and battery voltage, etc. So, you know, not a whole lot there, but, you know, you don't really need a whole lot. And of course, the throttle right there on the left grip. And check it out, scooter does fold down. Now, you could fold it even smaller if you wanted to, you know, remove the seat completely, either by sliding it out here, or, you know, if you removed it down there, then you could really fold the stem down. But this still saves you quite a bit of space, and I love how the rack folds down, the basket. That's that's awesome. So this is, you know, nice for storing it, or if you got to fit it into your car. It doesn't, still's not super easy to carry around, you know, a little bit easier when it's folded. But this is not a very portable scooter, you know, definitely not something that you can just carry onto the subway with you. This is really more for just storage at your house, so it takes up less space. All right, we're gonna take it out for a spin here. Now, I mentioned just how comfortable this thing is. Now, even though I'm probably just a little bit big on this scooter, I like this. I have a nice upright seating position here. Feels great. Let's spin around a bit here. Fire up the display. I like that it remembers the speed setting you had it in before. So if you had it in 3, it stays in 3. You don't have to kick it on up there. We're actually gonna drop down to 1 for now though, just to test out the top speed in the different modes. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the ride feel of the scooter here. So let's take off. It's got quite a bit of torque right off the line, but when you're in level 1, it keeps your top speed capped at 9 miles per hour. So you can't get too crazy in level 1. It's really more of just like a safety mode. So when you'd want to be using this is, you know, maybe you're riding in a kind of a crowded area, like a multi-use trail where there's other people maybe on foot. You don't want to be going super fast. So good to have, you know, for safety reasons. Let's kick it up here to, I'll leave it in 1 for now. Another thing that I like about the scooter is just how stable it is. As you can see, I'm riding it one-handed and using the camera, which I typically can't do on a scooter, even on seated ones. The reason you can do it on here, you have these larger diameter wheels, 14 inches, provides a lot more stability. You've got wider handlebars. Like, it really does feel, steering-wise, it feels closer to, you know, a folding e-bike than it does to a scooter, which is a big win, in my opinion. All right, let's bump this up here. We'll go up to level 2. Again, we get that nice torque and really accelerate very quickly. And then when we're in level 2, we're going to get capped at 16 miles per hour there. So this is, if you don't want to go a little bit faster, but you still want to be efficient with your battery life. You know, maybe you're trying to maximize your range, trying to get close to that 31 miles of maximum range. And so you don't want to, you know, really be pushing the motor hard. It'll help you to be a bit more efficient, but you know, we're still moving at a pretty good clip. So if you had to, you know, do a long ride with this, you're still going to get there in a decent amount of time. This is slightly faster than you could get on, say, like you know, the shared scooters that you see around town you can rent. Usually those can go 12 to 14 miles per hour. So you can still beat them out by a little bit. But we do have a little bit more speed on tap here, so let's do that. We're gonna put it up to 3. Now we can accelerate all the way up to 22 miles per hour, allegedly. Oh, we gotta stop here. Actually, this would be good. I can kind of show you just the acceleration off the line, because it's really quite torquey. So we come to a stop, hit the throttle, and yeah, look at that. We're already up to, you know, 15. Let's see if we can get all the way up to 22 miles per hour. We are going up a hill here. Yeah, 22, piece of cake. Now, you can probably see just the wobbles and vibration in the handlebars. It starts to feel less stable once you go past 20 miles per hour. There's just, I don't know, there's quite a bit of vibration and sort of like a speed wobble feeling, you know, almost like maybe the wheel isn't completely lined up or something, which I don't think is really the case. I think it's honestly just that it's, you know, even though these are bigger wheels for a scooter, they're not that big, and it's you know, not that rigid of a steering column. There's no damping or anything going on. So it's gonna get a little bit wobbly and squirrely at high speed. Now, as you can see, I'm still doing it one-handed, so it's still reasonably stable if you've got 2 hands on there, but you really wouldn't want to be going, you know, much past that top speed of 22 miles per hour. Something that I notice on this scooter right away is the motor is very loud, and not a smooth loud either. It's got this sort of a warble to it. Like, people are going to look at you and notice you because it's kind of obnoxiously loud, and it sounds kind of like the motor is, you know, having trouble. It's not happy back there. I'll get you a close-up on the motor here as I accelerate up to full speed just so you can hear that. Slow down and go one more time here. So yeah, it doesn't sound great. I don't think it's anything to actually be concerned about, you know, just not, you know, not quite as high powered or high quality of a motor as you might get on some higher end products, but you know, you're paying 570 bucks for a utility scooter. You're getting a pretty good deal, and it's just you'll have to put up with the loud noise if it's the scooter for you. All right, we are switched over to the chest cam here. Even though I can, you know, ride it with one hand, it feels a lot better with two. This way we can go a little bit faster, you know, take it over some bumps and stuff. Like I said, love having the basket. It's just so nice to not have to carry that on my back. All right, let's see how we can do climbing up a hill. This isn't a super steep incline here, but it's a fairly long one. And so, yeah, we'll just, you got it in level 3 here still, so take off. It does feel quite a bit slower than on flat ground, but we're still accelerating. Seems to be topping out at right around 16 miles per hour. 17, so yeah, definitely cut into it there, but not too bad. I think we got a little bit steeper of a hill we can try out over here. This is a pretty good incline here, so this will definitely put the torque to the test. See if we can accelerate up here. Here we go. Quite a bit slower, but we're doing it. Oh. Yeah, so you can get up there, but you only got up to about 7 miles per hour. It didn't seem like it was going to accelerate much past that. This is a good, just sort of a rough terrain test right here. You know, it's kind of a back alley here. It's got a lot of potholes and rough asphalt. And you know, it actually doesn't feel that bad. This seat is just so cushioned on this thing. I haven't yet felt like I needed to stand up to add some extra dampening for my legs. You know, maybe on some of those bigger bumps would be nice, but it feels pretty good going through there. It is actually pretty easy to stand up on the scooter, even, you know, with the seat still being here. The deck is wide enough that, you know, I can just stand right up with my feet side by side, which, you know, a lot of scooters, the deck's too small. Now, when I'm standing, the handlebars feel shorter than I would like. You know, this is not big enough for me once I get into the standing position here. But it is nice to be able to stand up like that. You know, seated's more comfortable, but if you're going over some bigger bumps, you know, potholes, that kind of a thing, then it's nice to be able to just, you know, quickly stand up. Your legs can add some natural shock absorption there and until you get back on the smooth pavement. Old school. If I was going for a long ride, the sound of the motor at the high speed like this would get pretty obnoxious. Like it's definitely noticeable. So I would probably, you know, want to wear like some earmuffs or be listening to music or something, just so I didn't have to listen to the motor warbling the whole time. One downside of the scooter is you don't have exercise to keep you warm like you do on a bike. So gotta gear up a little bit better. Yeah, that feels pretty rough there. I'm gonna go back over that section. Man, this scooter has such a tight turning radius. That's awesome. But yeah, so this sidewalk section here is pretty rough. And you know, I can definitely feel it. I think this is uncomfortable enough that I want to stand up to get that little bit of extra shock absorption. It's just you know, no suspension. It's pretty rough, but man, look at that. We can just turn around right here on the sidewalk and just go over that same bit, but stand up here. And yeah, that feels a lot better in terms of comfort. And here we go, it's smooth again. I can sit back down. It's so well balanced when you're going slow. Like, it's very easy to spin a tight, you know, U-turn like that without even taking my feet off of the footrest, which is pretty sweet. Whoa, big pothole. Now for that. Yeah, it has a just great nimbleness. Like, it feels very agile at these lower speeds. And now, as I mentioned earlier on, once you get up to the, you know, the higher speeds, up around 20 miles per hour, that is when it starts to feel a little bit squirrely. I've just got this like vibration coming up into the handlebars, a little bit of wobble, and it feels a little bit twitchy just trying to turn quickly at the higher speed. But if you stay down, you know, below 15 miles per hour, then down here feels awesome. So that you know, the level 2 setting that caps your speed at 16 miles per hour is probably kind of the sweet spot, unless you're in a hurry. Now, of course, we do need to put the brakes to the test too. So we'll get going up to our top speed here. And then we'll just hammer on the brakes. Pretty good. Nice short stopping distance. The brakes feel smooth. I didn't skid out the wheels, which is good. I'm gonna just do that again here and really just give it all I got. Yeah, pretty solid. I could probably tighten these brakes up a little bit more, honestly, but I think they're kind of at a good spot right now so that I don't completely lock them out and lose control by skidding around. Something that I realized that helps with steering so that it doesn't feel as squirrely, to help it feel a bit more stable, is you can't think of steering this like a bicycle. You know, when you're on a bike, you're using the handlebars to steer, and you know, when you're at low speed, you can just kind of, you know, turn the handlebar to turn that way. But when you get going faster on a bicycle, you have the inverted steering and all of that. But on a scooter, you don't really steer with the handlebars, at least not if you're doing it right. It's more of leaning and using your body weight. So on this scooter, when you get going faster, if you just kind of shift your body weight side to side, you can initiate a turn that way just by leaning a little bit, and that actually feels a lot more stable. Like, I'm not getting all the wobbling coming up into the handlebars now. And so, you know, even though it kind of feels a little bit like a bike, remembering that you actually are on a scooter is going to help it to feel quite a bit more stable. Okay, I want to get some third-person shots. So you have a size reference if you're thinking about getting this scooter. Now, I am 6 feet 3 inches tall, weigh about 185 pounds. So, you know, with everything up at the highest levels, this you know, fits pretty well for me. You know, I feel maybe a little bit big for it, but you know, pretty good. Nice upright seating position. We're down to only 60% on the battery now, so the acceleration is starting to dip a little bit, but so you can kind of, you know, get a feel for what it looks like riding around on it. Woohoo! Very nimble at low speeds. And pretty good performance from the brakes too. You know, like I said, they're a little bit loose, but get the job done. All right, well, we have done 10.1 miles of test riding. We're still at 80% battery capacity. So Hiboy's claim that this can do, you know, 31 miles max range seems pretty realistic. All right, so that is it for today's review. I'm pretty impressed with this scooter overall. It's, you know, a little bit rough around the edges, may not have the most premium components, but really packs in a lot of utility and I think offers a good amount of value for its current price point anyways. If you guys got questions about this review, you know what to do. Chime in down in the comments section below. Thanks for coming along, and I will catch you in the next review.